All right, Todd, thank you. We'll kick off this hour here. The state of Maine is one of 25 states in the country suing the Trump administration to block some new restrictions when it comes to mail-in voting.
The new rule requires states to register eligible mail-in voters with the Postal Service and only use ballot envelopes that have unique barcodes. USPS could refuse to deliver ballots to voters not on the list, as well as ballots in envelopes that don't meet the new standards. Secretary Bellows says that yesterday a federal judge voluntarily dropped an injunction the League of Women Voters had been granted through a lawsuit brought on behalf of all voters. Bellows says it was the last barrier keeping the changes from beginning to take effect, and this follows the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on Monday to lift an injunction that had been won through a separate state lawsuit. Bellows says the new lawsuit, though, that Maine is involved in is a last-ditch effort to get mail-in voting restrictions blocked.
We're hopeful that we'll get a temporary restraining order and that this will have no practical effect. My message to voters in this moment is we are going to fight, and we have lots of ways that you can vote if for any reason this Supreme Court doesn't stop the madness.
Bellows says about 200,000 Mainers use the mail to vote absentee during an average election. A new survey by the Maine Affordable Housing Coalition reveals that 96% of Mainers believe housing is a major problem.
So all three candidates for Maine governor are sharing their thoughts when it comes to housing. Two of them are speaking at an event yesterday. Our Christian Harsa has more.
Housing is one of the biggest issues facing Maine, and independent Rick Bennett believes regulations are getting in the way.
Dear God, do we have a housing crisis or not?
Bennett released his plan in February, including financial aids for homebuyers. One cuts down the cost of a down payment, using the state's cash as insurance.
The homeowner would still put $20,000 down. The collateral in the house is still there. And so it's a very low risk.
Democrat Hannah Pingree released her plan in November, and her top strategy is stimulus, $100 million a year's worth.
And making it an ongoing investment through the state budget is just something that the next governor could do in partnership with the legislature.
Under her leadership, the state would tackle the issue of homelessness more aggressively and specifically strive to end veteran homelessness, impacting around 150 vets a year.
Help them find a long-term housing option. We just need to make it happen.
Lobbying for Republican Bobby Charles was invited to attend the forum but opted not to. He released his housing plan Wednesday morning, taking a holistic approach.
Everything is related to everything. So housing costs are related to taxes, and taxes are related to your tax base, and everything ties back together.
His plan focuses on energy, healthcare, trade labor, and regulation to make housing cheaper from the outside.
Fiscally manage the state in a way that encourages builders to build and gives buyers the chance to buy.
And that was our Christian Harsa reporting. The executive director of the Maine Affordable Housing Coalition does say she still has questions about Charles's plan, saying he has shared a few details about building housing or how specifically he would be helping to lower any costs.
Democratic U.S. Senate nominee Troy Jackson has launched a new part of his campaign. More than 100 women turned out for the first Women for Troy event last night. The president of the Maine AFL-CIO and the group Reproductive Freedom for Fall praised Jackson's record as Senate president, sponsoring laws for child care subsidies, universal free school meals, and abortion rights, though he opposed abortion earlier in his career. Jackson criticized his opponent, Republican Senator Susan Collins.
We have a chance to take, someone that votes with Trump 96% of the time, that gives income tax cuts to the billionaires, that puts $70 billion into ICE, a rogue agency that literally murdered a man in Biddeford for nothing more than going to work.
A spokesperson for Senator Collins says she has always been pro-choice and a champion for Maine women, and that Jackson unfairly distorts her record in an attempt to hide from his own.